It's officially spooky season, and I decided to do a vlog with two authors who are new to me, trying out some spooky novellas. Hi, my name's Bea. Welcome to my channel, Mama Needs to Read Romance, because nobody in a book like this or this is going to act like I'm ridiculous for acting why there's a mushroom on their head. She said it's a hat, and I'm the weird one. Well, I was originally going to do this vlog on an anthology written by some really neat romance authors called Which Witch is Which, but it was not a good fit, I'll say that. I'm gonna include that in my DNF video that I will do at some point. In any case, I thought, what would be fun for this week? I wanna do something spooky, I wanna try something new. Karen Marie Moning, who is new to me, I can't tell you how many times my bookish friends from online have recommended her to me, and I am really, really excited to try one. It's only 3 hours long. I got it for $2 and something at the Audible book sale the other day, called Into the Dreaming. This is book 8 in the Highlander series. So we have Aidan McKinnon. He was a Highlander who was taken by a dark lord, apparently, and now he's been for centuries tortured in the icy depths to become someone called Vengeance. He is apparently showing up in the dreams of a contemporary woman. She one day, though, gets a tapestry in the mail, and it takes her back in time, and she gets to meet the man who has been in her dreams. So she gets to try to save him. And apparently there are various kingdoms of the Fae at play here as well. So it sounds really interesting. I'm hoping that I'm not going to be out of my depth because there sounds like there's so much going on, but I'm going to try it. I'm hoping that it'll be easy to jump into. The other one I wanted to try, it's a novella by Christine Feehan, or Feehan. It's from the Dark series. There are 32 books in this series, and they are all rated at 4 stars and above. This novella is called Dark Hunger. It is just over 4 hours long. I think it's going to be a great way to get introduced to this series and this author. I like the premise of this too. We have Juliet and her sister. Juliet is trying to save wild animals. She's in the jungle, and there are poachers who are taking large breeds of animals from the jungles and I suppose selling them on the black market. So she goes into a compound to try to save some of these large animals and discovers a man. Only it's not a man, it's a vampire. And she goes to free him, and chaos and love ensues. So I'm excited to try this as well. Okay, so I just finished the first hour of Dark Hunger, and I am really enjoying it. It's very different from anything I've tried, which I'm actually, even that in and of itself is kind of fun. The narrator is fantastic. I'm gonna have to find out her name. Her voice is so soothing that I feel like she could do a sleep story on the Calm app. I don't know if you're familiar. I live on the Calm app at night when I can't sleep. We have Juliet. She's trying to get into this compound. I tell you though, I was rolling my eyes so hard I thought they were gonna fall out of my head. She is trying to distract a guard so that she can give him an injection in his neck and knock him out so she can get in that compound and start saving those giant animals. I'm not sure how she's gonna carry giant animals out of a compound. I just thought of that. I'm sure they've got a plan. But anyway, she comes out of the jungle trying to distract this guard going, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not wearing more clothes. It's just so hot. Here, I've got a banana. Would you like to share this banana with me? Here, watch me eat this banana." And I was like, oh my. Please, is this serious? Apparently, the guard is none the wiser. Would never think that this is odd or strange at all that this woman is doing this. She knocks him out, goes into the compound, she sees some of the animals, and then she sees him. He is a vampire. He actually has a psychic link to other vampires, and he's not using it though because he's afraid that they will try to come and save him. He's an honorable vampire. He wants to do the right thing. But it kind of treats Juliet as just a prop, basically. She goes to save him because she's all scared that he's been captured by them and he's lost a lot of blood. And the second he gets her within his grasp, he just starts drinking her blood. And I was like, okay. And then he doesn't really even say anything to her. Fireman carries her out of there, and then they've been running through the jungle, and he convinces some other guys through, I suppose, compulsion to walk up to him that are in the middle of the jungle, and he sucks blood from them because he's getting stronger. I guess that's what he's telling himself, because he does seem like an honorable type of guy, but he's really got to get stronger if he's going to escape and help her escape, because I suppose she's in danger now as well. And another thing, I just sort of had to laugh, but he says to her multiple times, he's like, well, you're my life mate. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, he acts like this is a done deal. Like it's a foregone conclusion. You saved me in the compound. You're my life mate. You're stuck with me forever. And it's just so funny, but it's just so different. And I'm enjoying it. I don't know that I would read the whole series, but I mean, I'm only like an hour in, so I'm a quarter of the way through, and let's see what happens. I'll check in with you maybe when I finish or more towards the end. I don't know. Okay, I'm halfway through the book. This book reminds me a lot of like a play or maybe like a B movie from the 60s. It's so over the top. It's so campy. It's hilarious. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm just thinking about some of this stuff. So Riordan, the name of the male, by the way, I don't think I said that before. There's some real danger. There is a master vampire. It turns out that this compound is like, it's a front. Like people are although it's supposed to be secret anyway, but people who know about it are supposed to think it's to capture big game. But really, it's to capture other vampires. And we don't know who the master vampire is. We know that this guy has abilities above all the other vampires, and he wants the vampires for something, but we don't know what. We know there are traps set. We know that this is dangerous. And yet, this is still mostly about Riordan and Juliet. So they're together, and he says, we need to exchange blood because it's part of being a life mate, and it's going to make me stronger, and it's going to make you stronger. We will be life mates. We will be one forever. She doesn't really seem to get a chance to say yes or no, because it's basically already decided that he's her life mate. No exchanges, no returns. So yeah, she's pretty much stuck with him, and he takes her blood. He gets powerful. He goes to sleep in a cave. She comes out of the cave, and she turns into a jaguar. She's a shapeshifter. I was like, okay. He comes out of the cave. He's terribly upset. This is like after he slept all day. It's nighttime now in the jungle. He's really upset because she's gone, and they have telemedicine. What is it? Not telekinesis, not telepathy. And they're talking to one another in their minds, and she's like, you're making me crazy, so I want you to be crazy. And she's like giving him like messages like sexual in nature, and he's like, you're making me crazy. And it's just like, so anyway, he turns into a bird because he starts to get into a trap, and he flies away. He turns into a bird. I was like, okay, I didn't know he could do that. We got a jaguar, we got a bird. And then he's talking to her about sexual things as a bird. And I'm like, okay, just trying to envision this conversation. And then he becomes a cat, but he's like a little cat because he doesn't want to trip the traps that could be out. So he's a little cat. And then the sexual thoughts she's giving to him are like overriding his little cat brain. So he almost falls into a snake. And I don't understand. I'm so sorry. It's just, I don't think I'm supposed to be laughing this much, but I am. So anyway, then he finds her. She's not a jaguar anymore. She's at a pool of water, which I'm sure is totally safe in the jungle in the middle of the night. You're not going to come into anything you don't want to deal with there. And she gets in there, and there's all this talk of, I'm going to start talking anatomy, okay? People who don't want to hear jump past this scene or something, because I can't. But anyway, she's just talking about her breasts. And the way they keep saying it over and over again, it sounds like a joke. And And then so he finally comes down from his tree where he was a little cat or something, watching her. He's asking her to like pleasure herself. He comes down, and I mean, it's a lot. There is so much. And it's so funny because I would think that like with Which is Which, the book I just DNF'd, that was graphic, but it was graphic in a really like filthy way. And this is more, I don't know. Again, it's like campy. It's just funny. Like I just keep giggling while I'm listening to this. And I know that's not what I'm supposed to like internalize it as, but I mean, at one point he said something about fire going up his penis. And I was like, oh no, that sounds like a medical problem. You might need to seek help. But it's supposed to be like really, really like the pinnacle of the love scene. And I'm like, this is just something else. I've never in my life listened to a story like this. Okay, so they have this big, way over the top, really long played out love scene that I laughed pretty much the whole way through. And then immediately, like, she was thinking about how she's never been with anyone as sexy as him. But she was, in her mind, she thought of the other person she was with while she was having sexy time. And gets crazy jealous. And now it's all about how he's jealous because she thought of another man and he can't. I mean, it's just like, hello, there is a master vampire chasing you. Don't you have anything better to do? You've known this woman for like a day. And I get that she's your life mate. But if she's your life mate, then why are you worried about her cheating on you? I'm just like, this is the most hilarious. I don't know. I'm enjoying this immensely, but not, I don't think in the way the author was hoping that I would. Okay, moving along. Dark Hunger, and indulge me for a moment because I'm trying to figure out the author's thought process on this book. So, she's probably thinking, well, it's a short story, it's a novella, it's only 4 hours long, so we're gonna have to do away with some things. We don't have time for all of this, so let's get rid of the plot. No time for that. Then transitions, we don't have time for that, so let's get rid of that too. Personalities of the characters, no, we don't have time for that either. So what's left? We've got plenty of time now for sexy time, but you know what? We probably need maybe, let's keep plot, but we'll just do plot points. How about that? I think that should be good. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel like she thought, honestly. So we get back to some sort of a plot after lots of lovemaking in a pool in the rainforest, which is makes me, ugh. And anyway, so they find out that the master vampire and his minions or whatever are in the woods, are coming after. Also, they find out that her sister Jasmine has been taken by male jaguars. Apparently what's going on is the male jaguars, they want the best blood, the most direct lineage possible. So they're taking these girls and they are sexually assaulting them to try to get the direct lineage, and it's just terrible. It's terrible. So we do have time. Yeah, so let's add that. Triggers. We do have time for triggers as well. Because let me tell you some of the other triggers. We've got rape. We've got a baby that dies, a mother that dies. These are alluded to as something that happened previously, but it's awful. So these jaguars are super bad, but apparently the master vampire, who we never even wind up meeting, I'm guessing he's going to be in another book, he is supposedly, potentially, but we don't know, coercing these male jaguars to do this sort of behavior, but we honestly don't know. They do eventually get Jasmine. She's been sexually assaulted, I believe, by these jaguars. And she's like, I'm so glad that we found her. Okay, let's go have sex again. And then they do. And, you know, at one point he's carrying her and he's a bird and she's not. I'm trying to figure out, they don't even describe the bird. Like, is this, I guess this is a large bird if he's able to carry her. And she had mentioned something about they're trying to have a conversation and his feathers are getting in her face. And I'm like, this isn't supposed to be funny, but it very much is. So, you know, I'm glad that he speaks on behalf of his vampire family and says, we're going to protect the rest of the jaguar women. That's good. But aside from that, there's not a whole lot. Well, and they decide they're going to be together forever. They're life mates. And another weird thing that I felt like, I guess if maybe you just have to read the other books before you read this one, because they can all work remotely apparently. And he's able to like go into other people's bodies, as can Riordan, and then like heal them from the inside. So they do that. And it's just, I had trouble suspending belief for that. It just seems sort of strange to me. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and give this book 1 star because there was a basic plot. I thought it was almost interesting, but yeah, just something else. Now tomorrow I'm going to be starting my other novella and now I'm nervous. Karen Marie Moning's Into the Dreaming. So I'm a little nervous about how that is going to go, but we shall see. I just finished a lovely fall walk. It's chilly outside, there's crickets, and there's no more mosquitoes because it's been cold. If you were one of the lovely people that recommended Karen Marie Moning and the Highlander series to me, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am beyond excited about this. I'm about halfway through of 3 hours, so I'm like an hour and a half in, and I am loving this. We have Aidan McKinnon. He was a great warrior in like 900 something, as in like that year, feudal Scotland. It wasn't even Scotland yet. And a fairy king, and the type of fairy, I think it's like the kingdom is a Usili king, grabs Aidan and says, look, I'm gonna make you a deal. Either you're gonna work for me for 5 years, or I'm gonna kill everybody in your clan. And so Aidan's like, okay, I'm like, Aidan is the most honorable man ever. And he says, well, of course, then yes, save my people. I will be with you for 5 years. Unfortunately, the king meant 5 fairy years, which is 500 human years. What he does is he takes Aidan and he keeps him in this icy prison and turns him into a completely different person. Vengeance. Aidan doesn't even, after several hundred years, he doesn't even remember his old self. All he does is get mind warped by this king, trained in various arts, and then the king unleashes him into the mortal world here and there, various timelines, and whenever he wants to basically do the king's bidding. And so Aidan only knows himself as vengeance now. He is completely brainwashed. Well, here comes the fun part. So we meet Jane. She is in present day. She lives in Indiana. She's a romance writer who every night since she was a little girl has dreamed of Aidan. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me say one other thing before I get to that part. So there's a fairy queen who feels badly for Aidan. This is like 500. Okay, let me. Okay, so as Aidan is starting his time with the king, he still believes himself to be Aidan. This is before he got totally brainwashed. A fairy queen who felt badly for him decided to use her magic to find Aidan's soulmate. And then she knows that at the end of 500 years, the king is going to release Aidan, Vengeance, from his tenure and then give him a month to sort of be free. And at which point the king is assuming that Vengeance will come back, because he's totally brainwashed. He doesn't know what else to do. if it doesn't work out, the king's planning on killing Vengeance. So the fairy queen wants to save Aiden. So she says, okay, there's no way that Vengeance is going to fall in love with his soulmate in a month. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have them meet in dreams. And apparently fairies do that all the time, and people have dreams all the time. They have no idea that often they're real, like with fairies and things like that. I just thought that was so kind of neat. But anyway, so, okay, let's fast forward now to present day. We meet Jane. She's a struggling romance writer in Indiana, who has dreamed of Aiden pretty much every night that she can remember since she was a little girl. And when she was young, he was like her guardian angel. It's just a sweet guy. But as she grew up, not all of a sudden, but after it was appropriate, they start becoming lovers in her dreams. And I got goosebumps hearing her describe how a prom couldn't compare to the balls that he took her to in her dreams. And I can't do it justice. If you can listen to this, oh my gosh, it's incredible. But she just talks about how their love making is just incredible because they're soulmates. And I mean, there's no detail given, but it's just so beautifully written. Just hearing the ways that he visits her in her dreams, it's just awesome. So anyway, one day a tapestry arrives at her home and his likeness is on it. And she's like, oh my gosh, she can't believe it. She falls asleep, like pressed up to this tapestry, and wakes up on the shores with a kitten who is all over her. Well, she sees Vengeance, Aiden, in a castle that's near the shore. He and she have both been whisked away by their fairy queen and king to the Isle of Skye. And the queen finally says to her, like via intercom, fairy intercom, you have got to save him. You have 1 month. And this is not a dream, and you're not crazy. Because for a while she thought she was dreaming or crazy, and she thought no matter what, I might as well just go for it, because either it's a dream and I'm going to wake up, I'm crazy, in which case it doesn't matter, or this is real and then I got to save his soul. So no matter what, I got to jump in head first. Jane had me laughing out loud so many times. Vengeance is totally against her in the beginning. The king sort of said to him, don't let any ladies touch you, and only eat bland food. Like all these bizarre things he says to Vengeance. Like he's not allowed to tell him what to do during this month off, but he's like trying to coerce him. Anyway, Jane was like, I have oodles of questions for you. And then at one point she's like, don't insult my kitten. She has Vengeance, Aiden, going off and shopping for her. He's making her meals because he's like, he doesn't know what else to do. And he's only used to being basically a servant. But she asks him all these incredible questions. And it's like unlocking things in his mind. Like, why is this king so great? Why are you doing his bidding? Are you a man? Are you a fairy? What are you? And where did you come from? And he's like, he just hasn't thought about these things in so long. He's just been bombarded with magic and spells and brainwashing for so long. Like, it's sort of waking him up. And that's basically where we are right now. Like, she asked if he would kiss her. He didn't even know what a kiss was. But she's going to work her magic on him. And I am here for it. And I am loving this. And I cannot wait for the second half of this book. Hey, so is the rain deafening enough for you? I'm doing this because this is the only time I have to do this. I'm so sorry. I finished Into the Dreaming and I loved it. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. The only reason I didn't give it a full 5 was because he kept leaving and like hashing things out on his own. And I was like, why don't you stay with her? But you know, he did. And also she names her kitten Sex Pot, which during like more serious scenes, it was really, it sort of took me out of the moment to hear the narrator refer to the kitten as Sex Pot. I was like, okay, this is just silly. So I had trouble taking it seriously, but I love how she was there for him, helping him reawaken his soul. I love how he just becomes Aidan McKinnon after a while. I mean, working with the villagers, and I'm telling you, it was super steamy the way that he like, she just sort of awoke that part of him that had been dormant for so long. I mean, he didn't even know what kissing was. So there was a lot to awaken, and it was steamy and spicy. And yeah, I was impressed by how it wasn't like way over the top. I felt like it was well done, very well done. And yeah, I was just so thrilled. The twist at the end with the fairies was really neat. I found it fascinating that the fairy king was playing a long con the whole time to try to get the fairy queen to his lair. And he knew that if she wanted to gloat about winning, she would show up to his place, and now he's going to romance her. So a twist I did not see coming. I really enjoyed it, and I realized that's the 8th book. Listen to this, Rain. It's the 8th book in the series of 8. So I read the last one first, but I'm 100% going to be reading the rest of these, and I cannot wait. I loved it. That is the end of this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've ever tried Christine Feehan or Karen Marie Moning, which is the pronunciation of her name I finally discovered. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading, whether it's paranormal romance or not. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.